High in the White Mountains of California, a tree older than the pyramids is still alive, and nobody noticed for thousands of years. On the eastern slope of the Sierra Nevada, where the air thins and the cold never fully releases the earth, there lives a bristlecone pine that has been standing in nearly the same spot for over 5,000 years. Its rings are so tightly wound that a single ring might represent just a few weeks of growth, compressed by altitude and frost into near invisibility. This tree has weathered everything the mountain could throw at it: lightning, avalanche, drought, and the slow, grinding pressure of time itself. What makes these trees remarkable isn't just their age, though that alone defies comprehension. It's that they grow so slowly, so deliberately, that their existence almost escapes notice entirely. A bristlecone pine might gain only an inch in diameter over a century. You could walk past one and miss it completely, mistaking its gnarled, silvered wood for a weathered stone or a fallen branch. Yet beneath that seemingly dead exterior, the tree continues its quiet persistence, ring by ring, year by year. For thousands of years, these trees lived in complete solitude on their mountain peaks, unknown to the wider world. No one was counting their rings. No one was measuring their age. They simply grew, season after season, through epochs when empires rose and fell in the valleys below. The bristlecone existed in a kind of temporal isolation, present but unrecorded, ancient but unremarked. Around the middle of the 20th century, a scientist named Edmund Schulman began studying the wood of dead bristlecone pines in the White Mountains. He was looking for patterns in their rings, a way to read climate history written in wood. What he discovered was staggering. Some of these trees had been alive for over 4,000 years, making them among the oldest living things on Earth. The scientific world had been walking past immortality without even knowing it. But here's what Schulman and his colleagues didn't know yet. There was one tree older than all the others. A tree that had been growing on that mountain since before the first pyramids were built in Egypt, before writing was invented, before agriculture transformed human civilization. This tree, eventually given the name Methuselah, was still alive, still growing, still holding its secrets in those impossibly thin rings. The bristlecone pines grow in a landscape that seems almost hostile to life. The peaks reach above 12,000 feet. Winter temperatures plummet far below freezing. Precipitation is sparse. The trees might receive only 8 inches of rain or snow in an entire year. And yet, in this harsh environment, where other life struggles and fails, the bristlecone thrives. The very conditions that would kill a less adapted tree seem to sustain these ancient giants. The bristlecone's success lies in its patience, in its refusal to rush. While other trees grow quickly and die young, the bristlecone grows with a kind of stubborn restraint. It doesn't waste energy on rapid expansion. Instead, it builds itself with extraordinary density, creating wood so hard and resinous that it resists decay for millennia. A fallen bristlecone log can lie on the mountainside for thousands of years, barely decomposing. Its rings still readable centuries after the tree has stopped growing. There's something almost philosophical about the bristlecone's existence. It doesn't seek dominance or height. It doesn't compete for sunlight with aggressive neighbors. There aren't any neighbors at that altitude. It simply occupies its small patch of earth and persists, decade after decade, century after century, in a kind of meditative solitude. The tree seems indifferent to the passage of time, as if millennia and moments were somehow equivalent. The rings of a bristlecone pine tell stories that reach back into the distant past. By counting and analyzing these rings, scientists can reconstruct climate patterns from thousands of years ago. A wide ring indicates a favorable year with good moisture and warmth. A narrow ring tells of drought or cold. Together, the rings form a chronicle of environmental conditions stretching back into prehistory, a record written in wood by a patient observer. When Schulman's research finally became widely known, it transformed how scientists understood both time and survival. Here was a living link to the ancient world, a tree that had been growing when the Bible was being written, when the Roman Empire was rising and falling, when the Middle Ages gave way to the Renaissance. And it was still there, still alive, still adding another ring each year in its slow, imperceptible growth. The location of Methuselah and the other oldest bristlecones is kept secret, known only to a small circle of researchers and park officials. This protection reflects an understanding that these trees are irreplaceable, that their loss would be an immeasurable tragedy. They're not protected because they're pretty or impressive to look at. Many of them are gnarled and sparse, their beauty austere and subtle. They're protected because they're witnesses to time itself. If you were to visit the White Mountains and somehow find yourself near one of these ancient trees, you might not recognize it for what it is. It wouldn't announce itself. There would be no fanfare, no sense of standing before something extraordinary. You'd simply see a twisted, silvered trunk, gnarled and weathered, reaching up from the rocky soil with a kind of stubborn determination. And yet, if you could touch that wood, you'd be touching something that has endured longer than human civilization itself. The bristlecone reminds us that longevity isn't about speed or size or dominance. It's about adaptation, resilience, and an almost unknowable capacity for patience. These trees don't fight their environment, they accept it, accommodate themselves to its limitations, and slowly, methodically, turn those constraints into advantages. In a world obsessed with rapid growth and quick results, the bristlecone grows at a pace that seems to mock our urgency. Standing on a mountain peak at 12,000 feet, looking out at the vast expanse of earth and sky, you might begin to feel the bristlecone's perspective. Time becomes something different up there. The years seem to stretch and compress simultaneously. The urgency of the valley below fades away, replaced by a kind of eternal present. This is where the bristlecone lives, in that strange space where millennia and moments become indistinguishable. The bristlecone pines continue their quiet persistence today, still growing, still adding their rings, still bearing witness to the passage of seasons and centuries. They ask nothing of us, demand nothing, make no sound. They simply exist as they have existed for thousands of years in their remote and solitary peaks. And perhaps that's the greatest gift they offer, a reminder that survival, true survival, sometimes looks like stillness, like patience, like a kind of beautiful refusal to hurry. As you settle into sleep tonight, imagine yourself on that mountain, surrounded by the quiet presence of trees that have been growing since before your ancestors had names. Imagine the cold, clear air, the vast silence, the sense of being held within something ancient and patient and utterly indifferent to the passage of time. The bristlecone doesn't hurry you. It simply waits, as it has waited for 5,000 years, for 5,000 more. Subscribe for more journeys into nature's deep time. Each week, a new story of quiet persistence that'll help you unwind.